and welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I'm Denise Killian with Trainertainment, and I appreciate you being here with us this week. Before we get started, I would love to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors for 2025. We appreciate their support, which helps us bring you new episodes each and every week. Well, as you know, on Thursdays, Trainertainment likes to take a break from the doing and spend just a little bit of time thinking. And this week, we're going to be talking about what you can do to up your leadership game within your center. What programs you can do, what training you can do, and how you can encourage the growth of your team to become the leaders that you need for your center. And to do that, we're going to be talking with Clint Novak with A&A Global. So let's get started. Clint, welcome to Think Tank Thursday. So glad you're here with us.
Woo, we're back.
Yay, we're back, baby. We're back. So I want to talk to you all about developing leaders today.
Okay.
But before we do that, in case there's someone who doesn't know you,
Okay.
tell me about yourself and what you do at A&A Global.
Well, I'm the business development manager at A&A Global, and what I do for A&A is I go around to FECs around the United States, and I help them, whether it's either make money, save money. I basically do a 2-hour tour of the facility, and everything I see that I can help them out with, I just kind of point out. And I also do a lot of social media. I do ThinkTank Thursdays. I do Replay Magazine articles. I do a lot of different media stuff. But overall, what my goal is just to help others. So I'm always out there trying to do whatever I can to make facilities great. So,
Okay. So Clint, I want to talk all about that leadership development. We
okay.
know it's much better to grow a leader than to hire someone from the outside and hope that they fit with the culture and are the kind of leader you want them to be. So, want to start with, if we're growing from within, the hiring process of trying to find that maybe 15 or 16-year-old first-time job holder that you're hoping you can grow into a leader. What does that look like?
So, like you said, most of the people that we're hiring are going to be in that 16-year-old range. It's going to be their first job, and we're really teaching them how to be an employee. We're giving them the proper job etiquette, work etiquette. They don't know how to call out of a position because they've never done that before. They don't know who to call, what to do, all of those things. So, really, you start there. That's where your leaders are, because most of the time when you're hiring a supervisor or manager, it's going to be promoting them from within. So, you have your person that you've hired. Right off the bat, you should be giving them a very clear, precise path to leadership. So, whether that's in your interview, or whether that's in your orientation, or whether that's in your first day of training, there should be a clear path to leadership. What does that look like? Like, how do you go from day one, running a ride or doing the redemption counter or doing guest services, to being a lead or supervisor? And so if you have that path clearly outlined, then you're already giving the right tools for success.
So once you've laid out that clear path to, hey, I'm not just going to be part-time working on the front desk for the rest of my time here. I have the chance to grow and become maybe a shift leader or an MOD, or maybe even one day a manager, that path is very clear for folks when they're from this first day that they start. Then it's the question of figuring out which one of those folks is your potential future manager.
Yeah, really, you're only looking at like 95% or 5% are actually going to be moving on to being a supervisor, leader, manager. And again, it's all about that path that you lay out. It's before you even start the training and development of a supervisor or manager, but it's trying to recognize, okay, if you have five departments, let's say you have parties, indoor rides, outdoor rides, cafe, and maintenance. You have five different departments. Which one of those can you cross train? And that's where you really start to see who those people are that are going to be moving up. Can you cross train somebody from rides into guest services? Can you cross train them from rides to cafe? And then you start seeing their leadership potential through all of those things. And you're looking for somebody who obviously can direct their peers. That have good communication skills, that are good with the guests. You're looking for all those different things. Once you find those people, then you start that path to leadership. What does that look like? What are the steps? And then ultimately, what is the final goal? It's being a supervisor or manager.
So, and that culture piece is important too. When you hire from within, when you promote from within, you've got the encouragement to other people to say, "Oh, look, you can move up, you can grow. What did they do to get there? I'm going to follow that path." But you also have, they understand the culture of your center, and it's not someone that comes in from the outside that you have to create that and build that understanding.
Yeah, I think the only positions that you're really going to hire from outside often are going to be like that very top position, maybe the general manager position. There's not going to be a lot of people who are going to move into that position. That's the way I did it. I moved up into the GM position, but that's not typically what people do. But for your managers, supervisors, they're all going to be, working up that ladder to get there. And of course, the culture is super important. And it's again going to the retention part. If you are promoting within, then you don't have to do those outside hires, and onboarding is expensive. So just taking somebody, a regular employee, just front of the line, first time employee is going to be an expensive hire. But supervisors and managers are even more so because it takes way more training and development to get them through that onboarding process to the point where you can leave them on their own, give them the keys to the store, and have them opening and closing.
And that's something that I think I know in my career, I have been promoted and never really trained or educated on what that new position exactly is. And so then you find yourself remoting back to, well, I'm going to do what my previous job was because I know how to do that.
Mhm.
And I'm going to make a lot of mistakes and figure out and maybe do some wrong things when I get moved up into that bigger position. How important is it to develop that strategy of taking time with someone who's just been promoted, even if it's just from frontline to a shift lead? Certainly, a supervisor or a manager or something above that is even more so. But at every level, how important is it to create that strategy of training? This is what this job is.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a hierarchy. Yeah, first of all, be very organized with it. Have a hierarchy, have job descriptions for every position that you have so you understand what their role is, what they should be working on, what they're doing. And that could be very fluid. They could change, also depending on the person who's in there, because their skill set might be different, and they might be able to bring something else to the table that a previous person wasn't able to do, and they're going to be able to, give you more whether it's maybe you have a manager who's really good at social media and they can start helping you with some of that media and marketing because when you only own one facility, you don't typically have a marketing department. So, finding roles for those managers and supervisors again, is going to be kind of fluid, but you definitely want to have an outline of what their job description is so you understand what it is, they understand what it is, and they have a clear path to what they should be doing. And that process has to be put in place as well. How do you get to that point? How do you go from supervisor to manager? It's a 90-day thing or a 60-day thing. It's not something that they're a supervisor and you just hand them the keys and say, well, you get to open the store now. So what does that look like? And the more organized, the more training and thought you put into it, the better it is for your team because they're going to be more prepared to be able to handle those and not feel like they were just thrown into it at the last minute. And so, yeah, it's all about that training and that process that you develop.
And when we talk about leadership, I think a mistake that a lot of people make is, well, this person is really, really good at their job. They do this job beautifully. I'm going to promote them and they're going to be a leader, and they're not necessarily a leader, but
Mhm.
they're really good at that one job. How do you identify who's the leader and who's just really good at their job?
Sometimes that's not easy. Like you're going to go through that process and you're going to start seeing, maybe you don't see it when you say, hey, let's make you a supervisor, and you start that process to being a supervisor. And then while they're in the middle of that process, you're slowly realizing maybe they don't have the skill set necessary to do this. Sometimes it's after they've been set loose and they're doing it, because when you are hiring from within, when they're working their way up, they obviously know everybody. And so sometimes it's hard to make that adjustment of everybody, I'm friends with everybody, to now I have to be in charge of my friends. And so how does that work and how does that look depends on every individual person. Sometimes they can make that transition. Sometimes they make that transition too easily and they go the other direction. It's like they're too hard on their friends. But how can, and we always have that saying, it's lonely at the top because the higher you go up, the less friends that you have. Like if you're a manager, you have 10 friends. If you're a supervisor, you have 20 friends. If you're an employee, you have 100 friends. But as you work your way up, you slowly have to work your way out of the friend zone to make sure that you're being fair to everybody.
Absolutely. So, when we look at how to do this, what are some practical things that people can start doing? If, like, let's say I don't have any kind of a management development program, I've been doing what a vast majority of people do, which is, hey, they're good at their job, or this position's open, they show up all the time, I'll move them up. They don't have that training process in place. What are some things that you would encourage people to that they can start doing right now?
Again, start with the outlines. Just get those job descriptions, get kind of that hierarchy, like how many managers do you want? How many supervisors do you want? And then you can start outlining what those positions look like. Bring your team in on the process, have them help you develop what training looks like for a supervisor or manager, because ultimately they're the ones who have already gone through it. They're the ones who are doing it from every day. So what can they do to help you shape that new process and procedure? And yeah, I mean, it's baby steps. You're not going to be able to do it overnight. So just take small steps towards that direction of getting that process together and be willing to change it. You're not going to get it right on the first time. So when you make mistakes, change the mistakes. When something else is right and then something else better comes along, make those changes. It should always be fluid, and you should always be able to work with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that fluidity is what we want our leadership to have too.
Hmm.
Here's our end goal, but it's never a black and white situation. And sometimes it's gray and varying shades of gray. And being able to recognize that takes time and experience. So one of the things that's important when we're developing managers is having grace with our managers as they're learning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
Um,
100%.
so one great way that I always like to encourage people to do is find those mentors that people can model after, have the conversations with that can help them grow. How has your experience been with mentorship within a center?
I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without people who had mentored me. Tony, who is a GM, like the person who hired me as a ride operator, obviously saw something in me that got me to the level of where I am today. And I wouldn't be where I am in the industry today without him. There's other people like, I look back at high school and there was a teacher who really allowed me to go in the direction of the video skills that I had and always encouraged me and was always putting me in positions where I could succeed. And now that's such a big part of my life is going out and doing YouTube videos and that's always been a huge part of my life. So those mentors are super important. And it's always really good to pair good people together. If you have a good team, they're going to naturally want good people to be with them on the team. It's just like your circle of friends. Good people attract good people, and so if you have a good team, that's going to just fit together.
Mhm. Absolutely. So when we look at creating that leadership track,
Hmm.
you mentioned it's going to take time.
Hmm.
What are the overall benefits? Like, I want to encourage people, if you're not doing this right now, you want to start doing it. Talk a little bit about the overall benefits of having this kind of a program.
Well, we talked about retention. That's a big one. Obviously, it's going to be more expensive to just hire a manager or supervisor instead of promoting from within. Also, promoting within is going to generate a great company.
Morale.
Thank you, morale. It's going to help boost morale because the employees are going to see that they have that track and they're going to see their friends being promoted and they are going to want to be promoted as well, especially if they have that leadership drive in them. Leaders know who they are, and if they feel like, oh, I could be doing that, they're going to then say, oh, well, my friend is now doing it. I could do it too. So that's always good too. And it's going to just foster positivity and make a supportive working environment. So
Absolutely. So, Clint, it is time for the Think Tank Thursday question. Are you ready?
already,
It is. It is. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Of course, at Trainertainment, we are all about growth and promoting the growth of others. So, what do you do to help grow other people?
That's basically my job description. I mean, what I do and what I've done ever since, even when I was a GM, I felt like I was obligated to share all of the information that I had. I wanted to visit other FECs, see how they do it, give them my information. They give me their information so I could grow myself and grow them. And really, that's what I do. I go around, I go to the FECs, and I just want to make everybody better. So, it's always on the top of my mind. Doing this is helping people grow. Doing the Replay magazine articles, it's all about how can I make operators better. And so, yeah, does that answer the question?
Absolutely. But I love particularly sharing information.
Oh,
Sometimes
it's
we
important.
get to a place and we think, and we've been around people that are like this, they hoard everything. They hoard their lessons learned, they hoard the process, they hoard that information. And I think really good leaders, and the only way to grow is to share that, share what
What
you've learned.
my leadership philosophy, and this was given to me by another mentor, was that I should always be training my replacement. And if you're looking at that as a negative, you're like, I don't want to train my replacement because then they're going to replace me. But if you're thinking it as a positive, I want to train somebody who can do what I'm doing so I can do the next thing. I want to move up and be doing the next thing. And so I was always developing somebody to be the next Clint Novak. I wanted them to be able to take over for me in the GM position so then I could then have a bigger role in the company. And so I always, just from a philosophy standpoint, I'm trying to find the direction. Uh, I want to move in that direction, and things change. Even when we're talking about developing that leadership, as long as you're moving in that direction, the changes are not going to matter in your path because the end goal is that direction. And you're never going to get there. It's like Disney, the park is never done. You're always going to be building new attractions and plussing old attractions. It's the same thing here. You're always going to be working on your employees. You're always going to be promoting. They're going to leave, and then you're going to promote somebody else. And it's the philosophy of life at an FEC. So, or the circle of life, I should say, the circle of life at an FEC. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Clint, tell us, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about A&A Global?
Well, you can go over to anaglobal.com. There is a search bar there. Just type in Clint Novak and you will have all of my blogs, contact information. You can also email me at cnovak@aaglobal.com.
Clint, as always, I appreciate you being here with us. Thank you so much. And there's a lot to digest here. And I'm excited for people to kind of get started with this. If they're not doing this, they need to get started ASAP, right?
Yeah, and reach out to me if you have any questions. I can definitely guide you on that path.
Wonderful. Thank you, Clint. Appreciate it. Thank you so much to Clint for offering his ideas and thoughts about how you can start that leadership development program right now with your team. And of course, the benefits of that are pretty legendary. So thank you, Clint, for your information. And thank you to our digital sponsors for 2025. We couldn't do what we do, which is bring you Think Tank Thursday each and every week, without their support. If you have an idea for Think Tank Thursday, or if you'd like to be a guest, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at denise@trainertainment.net. Just reach out, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Think Tank Thursday. Remember that the journey to success is all about growth. And here at Trainertainment, we are committed to helping you and your center thrive. Visit trainertainment.net to learn how we can support your growth journey for yourself, for your team, and your business by setting up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.
Playthrough is an online scoring system for mini golf courses. Simply post a QR code near the first hole. Golfers scan it with any mobile phone, add their golfers, and start entering scores. They can easily view their group leaderboard or the course leaderboards. Playthrough also includes features like hole sponsor logos and hole transition ads to help grow your business. Visit playthroughmini.com to see what else Playthrough can do.